I remember you and I spoke oh, over a year ago now, and you were sort of touching on with me. You're like, I'm fascinated by comics, and I love the idea of comic books, but you were kind of coming to me like, hey, I see you've got your head around this whole world of comic books. Like, I'm fascinated by it, but I just don't get it necessarily. Like you,
Mm.
and I see you sort of saying that now. You never really delved into that as a kid.
Well, it's actually funny you say that because
I
I'm
can
looking
see your eyes
off,
darting around in
off
your room.
screen and hang on, my light it was balancing on this book that I'm about to hold up, so I just had to maneuver it. But I've got
Oh,
Watchmen here,
yes.
which I have not yet read, but I'm looking forward to reading that. And
Hmm.
I also have, and I'm just gonna move my light out of the way to all the to visual viewers. I've got Batman, The Long Halloween.
Did I
It's
recommend this?
possibly. I remember that around when I was talking to you last, I was looking
Mm,
into getting into a few comics, and The Incredible Hulk, Planet Hulk, which
okay.
I've been reading as well, and that's really cool. So I wanted to go a classic DC hero, a
Hmm.
classic Marvel hero, and then Watchmen, which is DC,
Yep.
but that's sort of almost unanimously considered to be one of the best graphic
Yep.
novels ever written. So I thought, why not get that? I also have a bunch of manga, which is Japanese, basically Japanese comics.
Totally
So
not
yeah,
familiar with that whole world, but I've got mates which are just obsessed with it. It seems like there is a whole audience for. I don't even quite understand it. What is it? Just Japanese comics? Is it? Is that the idea?
essentially, yeah. So the US comics always leaned pretty heavily into superheroes, as far as I can tell.
Yep.
Um, a lot of manga is more like there is so much manga in Japan,
Okay.
and like just thousands and thousands of different manga series that all have varying degrees of popularity.
And not
And yeah,
comic,
it's just
not superhero based. Sort of just like just
generally often they're supernatural or sci-fi kind of.
okay.
There are superhero ones,
Hmm.
and most popular anime, which is Japanese cartoons, possibly the best known ones are Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z.
Hmm.
Most of them have manga series. In fact, Dragon Ball Z is based on a manga. So the anime is just a retelling of the original, which was a comic book.
Oh, so so Dragon Ball Z started as a comic book.
Yeah, and as did like many popular Japanese shows. For example, Death Note, which is a very good
I've
Japanese
seen.
anime. Yeah,
Well,
that
I've
was a
seen
manga as well.
it's become a big thing on Netflix, has it not? Is there not a there's a series on Netflix and they're doing a live action, I believe?
They did do a live action American adaptation a few
Oh,
years
okay.
ago.
Yep.
It was very poorly received. I
Oh,
watched it and like didn't mind it, but the like if you go and watch the original Death Note show, the like it's genuinely one of the best written TV shows I've ever seen in my life. Like it's up there with like Breaking Bad. I know that's a huge call, but like in terms of like the suspense and intensity and mystery and all of that, like that's a must-watch TV show.
and it's anime.
And that and it's anime, and that
Yep.
started as a manga as well. Um, so yeah, I've dipped a little bit into that world as well. When I was in Japan, every time I go to Japan, I try to pick up a manga just for my collection.
Hmm.
So I've got a few, but they're in the other room, so I won't go grab them.
Okay. Well, what so in terms of the format, is it sort of is it the same as a comic book? Like you know how you get a trade, like a normal comic book is like what are they
Mm,
like 18 pages, and there's sort of the old Simpsons ones might have a ad in the front and ad in the back, or is it
yeah,
all in those graphic novel style? Like, is it still the
yeah.
same? It's all the same concept, comic books.
It's pretty much the same. They read right to left as opposed to left to right because that's how
Really,
they read over there. So you
we're
start
learning
from
shit.
the
This is
yeah, you
great.
start from the box, like you know how the comic books have like the box
Yep.
grid, or you know,
Yep.
well, however it is. You start from the right as opposed to the left. So sometimes I get confused
Oh.
when I'm reading it because I'm like starting from the left and I'm like, hang on, what? How did we get here? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I've read it wrong.